Hi, this is Little Dwarf playing games while rambling incoherently into a microphone. Why? Well, just because I can, and I continue with Tyranny, blind. I'm about to try and cross Kairos' storm to get to Sentinel Stand Keep, so let's do that. A maelstrom of rust and dirt swirls at deadly speed before you. Getting any closer from where you currently stand would mean certain death. Let's look into it, just for shits and giggles. Thick clumps of dirt and rusted iron block most of your view. You can vaguely make out the silhouette of a structure which can only be the inner keep of Sentinel Stand. Lift the steadfast insignia up towards the storm. The wind will parts as you hold the steadfast insignia aloft. Dust and debris swirl around a cone-shaped absence projected before you, which stretches into a tunnel of breathable air. The insignia jewels begin to glow brightly, as if invigorated by this parting of the wind. Whatever the dormant state the artifact occupied, it is now awake and full of new potential should you desire to use it. Let's go.
Path remains open. We should expect others to follow.
The walls of the keep have been beaten and chipped away by both the storm and the bitter clash between the disfavored and the unbroken. Can it be? A figure approaches through the storm. The Regent Skyblade seems ready to approach and welcome you. Dawning realization comes to her expression as she hoists her weapon up in a stance of challenge. Announce yourself, invader. We haven't sat in the eye of the storm this long to become slaves of Kairos. The insignia, the sentry lets out a startled yell. Someone bearing the Regent's insignia comes this way. Why have you come, stranger? Well, I come on behalf of Matthias, champion of the Unbroken. I must speak with Regent's traders. Matthias still lives. I suppose this is no surprise, but the Unbroken are still together? Remarkable. We have been cut off from Stalwart proper for too long. The scout's voice diminishes to a whisper. There are some who believe the Regent has lost his way. Please follow this path to the gates. You might be able to convince him to end this madness. Massive spikes split apart the castle walls here, the results of tremendous winds that passed through long ago.
Ooh. That sounds interesting.
Great. A stranger, and they let you through? Wearing an uncertain expression, the scout grasps his weapon. I don't know what sorcery carved a safe passage through the storm, but the Regent Fortress is closed to outsiders. I've come a long way for an audience with the Regent. He blinks and takes your measure. My reason compels me to doubt your words, but something in your bearing tells me you speak the truth. You've wasted your time, outsider. It is up to Kairos to end this edict, and nothing will move the Regent to negotiate. I wish that Herodin was more inclined to negotiate for a better option, but he's leaving that responsibility in Kairos' lap. He acts as if he can wait the storm until it passes, but the rest of us aren't so sure. I suggest you turn your back where you came, however it is you got here, and inform your superiors that we will not be budged. He hesitates and prepares to speak further. A voice bellows from the other side. Stay your weapons and raise the gate. I would speak with our guest. Step forward and present yourself then. Keep a respectful tongue and we won't have any trouble. Stalwart's ruler looks at you with a mixture of caution and amazement. His gaze lingers on the steadfast insignia. This explains how we were able to pierce the winds, but why have you come? Not to liberate an enemy, I think. He squints. The long isolation has taken its toll, but we aren't deaf to the news of the outside world. I think I recognize a Fatebinder when I see one, so logic follows that you are the keeper of vengeance well. Brilliant. Figured that out all by yourself? You realize my voice might never recover from all the dust, right? How about a little sympathy for me? We've survived in the Overlord's prison for over a year. I live on, and so does the Regent bloodline endure. Even the disfavored couldn't breach Kairos' wind wall when the Edict crashed upon our heads, though I am less certain how you managed. He regards you with a hint of resignation. You didn't travel this far to deliver terms of surrender, didn't you? Well, I was hoping to talk some sense into you first. Sense? He's been holed up behind these walls, while his realm slowly perishes. Not sure if sensibility or reason are within his grasp, but it is wise that we try to talk things through, and not leap to bloodshed, no matter how inevitable it might seem. I am willing to treat you under peaceable terms, but I will not give up this fortress to those who reside here, nor will I waste my life on any fool's ambition to see Kairos' edict resolved. I am not ignorant of my part in the equation. The edict can only be ended with the blood of the last regent, just as Kairos decreed. I must warn you, I haven't survived this long, only to be cut down by Kairos' lapdog. I endured the war, the disfavored suicide march, and the long isolation from the storm. I won't make it easy. What was the thing about the disfavored suicide march? In the second year of the war, my personal forces captured one of Graven Ash's elite legions. We divided the numbers for our own protection, some here, others at Duskwatch, with plans of bargaining with Ashe for their lives. Then the war came to a climactic stalemate, while the disfavored force amassed around Central Stand to drive us out and liberate our prisoner. A thoughtful expression overcomes him, but he dispels it with a shake of his head. The rest, as you know, is history. Before the disfavored could finish their desperate attack, the edict swept up my people and Ashe's legion like they were made of straw, battering bones and iron into so much dust that now swirls above our heads. Well, to be honest, I don't begrudge him as much as his own people seem to. Sure, if it was that he holed up in this fortress, refused to let the others in, and refused to actually combat the enemy while they destroyed the countryside, then obviously that's kind of crap. But you know, fortresses are meant for people to hole in them. Like, they are a defensive position, literally, and you're meant to hold position in them. It doesn't make sense to step out from behind your walls if you have them. And I'm also rather sympathetic to him being reluctant to literally kill himself to supposedly end the edict, because I know it can be done, but they don't. For them, it's some ancient, powerful magic that they've heard legends about. I wouldn't kill myself over a hunch, I don't think. I would have to be certain, and he clearly isn't. What have you gained from this long stalemate, beyond the hatred of your people? He hesitates to answer at first, then screws his face into a grimace. The people do not know what is best for Stalwart. We need a strong leader who understands the traditions of the realm, whose blood is part of that storied heritage. If they smite me for preserving our strength here and outlasting the war, so be it. I did not accept this mantle for adoration. What have I gained? I have kept Stalwart alive and in self-imposed prison. Whatever else you might think, the desperation to reach this place and to end my life only confirms the righteousness of my decision, as hard as it has been. Well, I'm sure we can come to a mutually beneficial arrangement, because you know, if you read the edict sort of straight, it doesn't say anything about them dying. it just says about the line of the Regent falling. So I imagine abdication would qualify as fulfilling the command of the Edict. I'm sure we can come to a mutually beneficial arrangement. Do you expect me to believe that? I will not, and you are a fool to think I would accept such an outrageous proposal, given everything it represents. The very pride of my station hinges on rejecting your impossible solution. He raises a voice for all to hear. As a regent of the great realm of Stalwart, I eject you from any courtesy or invitation that holds you to these walls, and banish you from my lands. Typical that the attendants of Kairos present no agreeable terms. You may distort the histories to reflect that I forced this confrontation, but everyone here will remember that when your overlord locked me in an impossible choice, I chose Stalwart. Heraldin turns away and heads through the particulars.
This'll be fun.
I can't be held responsible for this. What's my clue about the thingamajig? During the conquest, Asha sent his soldiers to march on Central Stand, even though the edict was imminent. Yeah, because he wanted to rescue his daughter? But I guess that counts as wasting, the Overlord's assets.
God, idiot! What am I thinking?
Wait, I did that? Nice!
What is junk?
On it.
I need to try a different tactic. This isn't working.
I didn't want this. He literally forced my hand.
Can't do that.
The winch is battered and appears barely functional. It looks like it could break at any moment. Use brute force to turn the spool. What kind of... Why didn't they redo that? It makes... Like, you can open the gate from the outside, but I guess they didn't think anyone could come through. Like, okay, I'll give them that, They thought themselves protected by the Edict of Storms. I will not fight those ones, because maybe once I bring him down or something, they will stand down.
Heads up, we have company.
That attack didn't work.
This weapon is entirely worthless. Can't do that. Not feeling so great. Stalwart prevails!
And I guess I have to fight most of them if I want to explore, and I do want to explore.
What do we have here? Hey, nobody saw that.
Harsh words. I got it.
What was I thinking?
I'm not entirely useless.
Oh, +1 bronze ring on kill. Interesting. This bronze blade exhibits an unusual property. After dealing a killing blow, a single bronze ring tumbles to the ground underneath the ring blade. Smiths have attempted and failed to replicate this strange art. They gave up over time, theorizing that there was no special property to reproduce, and the sword simply paid its wielder for the services rendered. Okay, pretty interesting.
Sorry, I can't. Sorry, I can't. Can't do that.
Massive spikes of stone flare out from the ground where the storm of unimaginable power ripped through the terrain. The weapons and armor of the soldiers ripped from their bodies are now encased in the stone as the silent effigies of Kairos' wrath.
Your days end.
Oh, wrong weapon for the job. I need to try something else.
I need to try a different weapon.
Well, that did nothing. Take them off.
Feeling so great.
I need to try a different tactic. This isn't working.
That ringing sound? It's not just in your ears.
On it.
Oh, wrong weapon for the job. I need to try something else.
Spills.
Ah! Oh, God!
Sorry, I can't.
The Regent flees the hand of justice. Corner him in the keep. To me, fall back but defend the keep at all cost.
More bodies to... Huh. Look at that. This weapon is like nipples on men. Useless.
I got it. Wait, I did that?
I need to...
Will do.
Too easy.
Yes. On it. Can't do that. Trouble's afoot.
Well, wrong weapon for the job. I need to try something else.
See that? I'm not entirely useless. I need to try a different weapon.
Oh, this weapon is like nipples on men. Useless. As you wish. By your command.
This weapon is entirely worthless.
I need to try a different tactic. This isn't working.
Stalwart prevails!
Wait, I did that? Nice!
What would be easier is you not getting hurt in the first place. Crazy shit.
This weapon is like...
Take that!
Could this weapon be any more useless?
Well, wrong weapon for the job.
Can't do that.
Herodin, our country has paid the price for your cowardice. If you had a shred of honor left, you would fall on your sword and put an end to this edict. But I suppose you're used to hearing that by now. You're that upstart captain I trained all those years ago. He sizes Matthias with a scrutinizing look. I don't know what authority you think you wield outside of here, but within these walls, I am still your regent. Given the low visibility through the storms, I suppose he can technically claim to be king of all that he surveys, and that just happens to be 1/10 of 1/10 of 1/10 of what used to be Stalwart. Nice reign. I don't mind telling you that I faced an impossible choice. While my decision might look like the coward's path, I challenge you to stand in my place while wearing the mantle of command. He offers a warm, tired look to his former countrymen. With any luck, you'll understand someday. Not pretend that we have anything in common. If it is the wisdom of the regents that cursed our lands and blackened our skies, then I will end the nightmare of your rule here and now. He advances a bold step forward. This edict and your complicity in it have done more damage in a year than Kairos' forces could have in a century. Okay, I low-key dislike that there isn't an option that would let me side with him, or at least let him know that I kind of get him. Because the game really has been not that great at showcasing the sort of the magnitude of his betrayal. Because they just said he hid in his castle, but that's what you do with castles. Like, what would they have him do? Step out of the castle and get the garrison slaughtered in the field? Like, they should have provided more examples of his cowardice. Cowardice is the word. Like, you know, he hid in the castle and refused Ada's entry, or he hid in the castle and then didn't even fight back, you know, didn't fire on the disfavored or whatever, because he was afraid he might attack, or they might attack or something. But as it is, I actually find him, you know, it's annoying, and possibly he's in the wrong in the part where he hid in the castle, but I don't think he is in the part where he didn't outright kill himself on an off chance that it might end the edict. Like, I probably wouldn't do that unless I was like 100% convinced it's going to work. But I guess out of those, I would choose this. Stalwart belongs to the people, not an irrelevant figurehead. I wouldn't expect a foreign invader to comprehend the nuance of Stalwart culture. The war and the edict are stumbling blocks, but I am still beloved and looked to for strength. My people need me. Oh, but he would be surprised how much we don't. Matthias glowers at the Regent, with pity and disgust. Your people stand ready to take your life. If you adore us as much as you claim, then allow us to take it from Stalwart. He raises his weapon and cries out, "For Stalwart!"
Your days end here. I got it. This weapon is entirely worthless.
Try to protect him. This isn't working. God, idiot! Oh, wrong weapon for the job. I need to try something else.
Harsh words would cause more harm than this useless weapon.
Could this weapon be any more useless?
Pay attention, kids.
Oh, wrong weapon for the job. I need to try something else.
This weapon is entirely worthless. I got it.
Could this weapon be any more useless?
The Regent lies on the ground, bloodied and defeated. He extends his good arm and drops his weapons. If only I had the breath to spend defying you, but I fear the fight has left me. You filth. Matthias grimaces at Straders. Don't expect sympathy after what you've done. It wasn't enough to keep the edict alive. You fought us to protect it. Stalwart is finished with your miserable reign, and will be stronger without you. One of Stradus' soldiers moves between you and Herodin, tearing off her helmet. I won't let you do this. From the intensity of her gaze to her squared jaw, you know this woman hails from a noble bloodline of the north. Her unbroken raiments throw you off for a loop, but you would recognize, until you recognize who she is, Graven Ash's daughter, Amelia. Wow. Did they what? Did she switch sides while she was in captivity? You know, it was for a year, so that's quite a long time. Maybe she's gotten Stockholm syndrome. Some of us could use an explanation, and some of us could use a stiff drink, but you don't see me breaking into your home and slaughtering my way to the decanter, do you? She shakes her head. Provisions without end in the cellar, but nothing to distill. I am not the northern warlord I once was. She winces at the very thought. Sitting out the conflict made me see this conquest from a different perspective. She looks at you with a plea in her eyes. We were wrong. Kairos led us from the right path centuries ago. We marched south to finish the Overlord's work, but don't you see that the tears are the last chance for us to make this right? Yeah, actually I do see that, but what does this have to do with ending the Edict? Just abdicate and it should probably work. What a joke. If you had come to this conclusion sooner, you may have joined us as allies in the fight to reclaim Stalwart. If you fight for the Regent, then it doesn't matter if your motives are similar. If our motives are similar, you have to die. Well, actually you don't have to die, but first, you were a prisoner. What happened? This is no time for a story. Not while we have our blades pointed at each other. If any of us survive this, which I suspect isn't likely, I'll tell you everything. But right now you need to stand down and back away from the Regent. Why are you fighting for Stalwart? Because Stalwart is a fighting chance at winning back their independence. Because we have invaded this land on a mad whim of a tyrant. Because of many reasons. Yeah, I agree with most of this, but the Regent is beaten and the keep is ours. Would you cooperate? Never. I know what atrocities you and the rest of Tunon's ilk are capable of visiting upon us. I know what my father does to traitors and deserters. My father? Her voice cracks, and it takes a moment to find her words. I love my father, but it's nothing to compare to the love I felt for the father of... Oh! Is she pregnant? Or like, did she bear his child while she was here? Like, a year would be enough to get pregnant and birth a child. Amelia, please be silent. Stratus looks to her with desperation. It's over, you understand? I'm dying. Save your strength for more important things. He turns to you with a resolved expression, and you know he's lost too much blood to maintain it. I am the last of the Regent. If you mean to end the Edict of Storms, then I accept my fate. Well, one last chance. Will you end the Edict yourself? End myself to end the Edict? No, Fatebinder. This is not our way. You may call it uncompromising of me, but my station and my dignity demand nothing less. If you desire the end of the Edict so badly, you will have to shoulder this burden. Well then, I'm sorry, this has to happen. Although, if he has fathered a child, that wouldn't work, because I would have to kill that child, which... I have major reservations about, but let's... I'm sorry, Regent, this has to happen. Nothing has to happen. This is a lesson Kairos should learn, but I doubt ever will. Once you have a few seasons behind you, I think you'll understand that better. He sighs and leans back, presenting his neck. Before you can take action, you catch Amelia begin to raise her weapon from the corner of your eye. Amelia, stop. Stratus winces, hardly possessing the energy to argue. You have to keep a promise, remember? The focused, determined air falls to resignation. She delivers a curt nod and leaves the room, darting you a killing look on her way out. Amelia disappears into another room, unwilling to watch what you're about to do. Matthias moves to your side. Let me kill the Regent. My people have fought for this moment, and the nation has lost oceans of blood because of his hateful decision. He glares down at Herodin with disgust. Won't you let a son of old Stalwart take vengeance on the one who has laid us low? Well, to be honest, doesn't matter. He's going to die, sure, you can do that. Matthias, take vengeance you were denied. Heal the Regent. Matthias steps forward and buries his axe in the Regent's chest. Why his chest? Shouldn't you strike at his neck to like behead him? He even presented his neck. Stratus collapses instantly, a final gasp escaping his lips. Stratus' body falls to the ground, and you watch the blood pool onto the floor in silence. There is a feeling of anticipation, but as the seconds pass, it never materializes into anything. The surge of arcane energy and the sense of relief you experience at Ascension Hall is missing. You hear the howl of the storm outside and realize that the Edict endures. Searching for any change or meaning, Matthias scans the room with increasing panic. It's not happening. Why isn't it happening? The storms were supposed to stop when the last of the Regents fell. From across the hall, you hear a faint cry, a baby's cry, and a realization dawns on you. Yeah, okay, this is horrifying. I really hope I can avoid killing a baby. Because this is one of those boundaries I am not prepared to cross.
See that? We should take a closer look.
A regent has always ruled from this throne in Stalwart for the last 500 years, an unbroken bloodline that has survived through numerous generations. This partial recipe describes the process for creating a powerful drug. More research is needed.
Yes.
I fear I know the reason for our continued storms. Blocking the doorway, Amelia regards you with the eyes that brim with tears, yet blaze with hints of her father's grim resolve. She has armored herself in disfavored raiment to face you down. Stay away from my daughter, you will not have her. Actually, this is a very good question. This is a very, very good question. Because you could argue that she's actually responsible for, why did she agree, unless he raped her, but it doesn't seem so. She clearly is okay with having a child with him. Why would she agree to have a child with him if she knew the continuation of the line of the Regents will continue the Edict with it? Like, that seems like a very stupid and selfish decision, because it is a two-pronged road, and both of those roads are horrible, because either you condemn the people of Stalwart to experience the Edict forever, or you endanger your own kid because people will try to kill them to end it. Did you know this would prolong the Edict? We suspected that the bloodline would implicate my baby in Kairos' eyes, but I knew nothing for certain until this moment. She shakes her head. Don't ask me to interpret the Overlord's heartless design. I have no love for this edict, if that's what you're asking. It's torn a noble realm to pieces, fractured the pillar of their culture, and ruined countless lives. But I have a responsibility to the people of Stalwart to preserve their heritage and leadership. She releases a heavy sigh and hardens her intense gaze. My father and the other Archons destroyed this nation. She and I, Amelia glances back to the crib, we can help put it together. You'll do no such thing. The Regents had their chance, and look what they did to us. He shakes with rage and turns to you. We can't possibly allow it, can we? Your daughter is the Regent's heir. Now that you've killed Stratus Herodin, she is. Amelia draws herself up and glares at you. She has nothing to do with Kairos or the Edict. You have no right to judge her on the basis of blood. How is this possible? My union with Stratus the Younger. Even in remembrance, Amelia doesn't shed her warlike resolve. He showed me kindness behind those walls, and taught me about Stalwart and the Tears, the culture and heritage that made the people the pride of the realm. He died in the third year of the conquest, and his favored spear pinned him to the ground he fought to defend, and he never rose again. Oh, so actually she had a she had that baby with Herodin Stradis' son. Okay, that makes more sense, I guess, because the Regent was quite old, seemingly, whereas she's a young woman. The Regent remained in Sentinel Stand for her protection. The edict was his responsibility to shoulder, not hers. She tips her head down in challenge. My daughter will not be another victim of Kairos' conquest. She has the blood of the North coursing through her veins, and no one has the right to take her life. Well, calm yourself first. There must be another way. Which there is, I think. I assume if she just renounces the throne? Although that's an interesting question, because technically speaking, that would be impossible, right? You can't, like, can you abdicate? Well, I guess you can. Although, no, you probably can't. Can you abdicate sort of by proxy? I don't think you can. But calm yourself, there must be another way. This is an outrage. He turns fuming anger to you. I refuse to allow a child to unravel this nation and be allowed to live. How could I force my men to accept that answer? If you spare the child, the Regent, then the Unbroken will withdraw their support from your campaign. Our nation's future has rested in this moment, and you propose doing nothing. No, shut up and let me think. Kill the disfavored girl and her Regent heir, or we are done for good. This shouldn't be a difficult matter for you to weigh, not if you're committed to our side. No, I am committed to the side of justice, which clearly isn't, killing babies. Is like the exact other opposite end of justice. You can't honestly think this is the only way, Fatebinder. What have we become if we are even considering the cold-blooded murder of a woman and her baby? Yeah, right? I agree 100%. Studying his parchment against his arm, Elantri holds his quill ready, the plume trembling in anticipation of noting your next move. What is your answer, Fatebinder? Yeah, you have the authority to abdicate the line. Obviously, yeah. Thank you, game. Thank you for this. As Regent Mother, you have the authority to abdicate the line. You must merely say the words. Quite right. Lantry licks the tip of his quill as he flips his parchment, and since the Regent Mother isn't of stalwart and can't actually sit as a regent, that should I hope terminate the line. I ought not to show preference for how this part of the chronicle unfolds, but I'd rather title this chapter Legal Remedy than Infant Regicide if given the choice. Hope reflects on her expression for the first time. Is it truly as simple as that? A clerical formality to spare an innocent life? She huffs as much in surprise as derision. If this works, I owe you more than I can possibly repay. Here, the edict damaged this trinket, but you might still find it useful. I, Amelia, formally abdicate my daughter's claim to the regency of Stalwart, dissolving all titles, compacts, vassals, and holdings. We forfeit all protections and advantages given by the ancient bloodline. Was that enough? How would I know if it's enough? I guess we wait and see if the storms abate. We give it, what, an hour, 2 hours? Ebb pauses, pursing her lips in frustration. No, really, if nothing immediately happens, how long do we wait before deciding failure and switching to the baby-killing plan? Forever? I would never do it. Like, I think this is a very clear-cut example of, like, well, to be honest, actually it even isn't, because what I was about to say, this is a very clear-cut example of the trolley dilemma, on which I have very strong opinions, but it even isn't, because if I don't do it, nobody will actually directly die. It's just that this part of the country is uninhabitable. They would just have to move somewhere else. You feel a familiar sensation, the air growing hot and electric, before suddenly erupting in an overwhelming wave of energy. At first you think the force of arcane power dissipating is enough to carve the skin from your bones, a sensation you attribute to the Edict of Storms, but it cools off just as quickly. The winds buffeting the keep have abated. Outside, an eerie silence pervades the air, a stillness that hasn't visited Stalwart for a long time. You can hear the very symbols that brought the Edict of Storms into being, each syllable proclaiming itself from a newfound corner in your mind. It would seem the Edict is now part of you. Thank goodness it worked. You spared my daughter, and here I had come to expect nothing but cruelty from the servants of Kairos. She looks to the crib. Now we have a chance at what might have never been, a life outside of these walls. I don't know what will become of us. The Unbroken would despise me for supporting the Regent. The Disfavored would not have me after turning my back on the North. I don't regret my choice for an instant, but they leave me without allies or kin. My father, I can't say what he would think, but he's a rigid, uncompromising man. Do not consider it for a second. Matthias frowns at Amelia, struggling to find words. You were tossed up in this war like anyone else, and circumstances are not always kind. But no one but Kairos and the Regent are at fault for perpetuating the Edict of Storm, and even Stratus, he sighs, even Stratus had his reasons. Your child is blameless, Regent or no. I would apologize for the severe tone I took with you earlier, and ask that you remain with the Unbroken. She studies him for a moment, and then tension leaves her shoulders. The South continues to surprise me. I had not expected anyone to march on Central Stand under a banner of mercy. She nods. We accept. You've demonstrated the lengths you will go in service of your allies, and the Unbroken are fortunate to be included in the crafting of the tiers to come. I make for vengeance well and your coalition. We have fought to retake our country for so long, I hardly remembers what it feels like to plan from a position of power. I suppose I'll find out. He smiles.
Right.
Thank you for sparing my daughter, Fatebinder. Amelia offers you a warm smile. What can I do for you? Tell me of the final days of the Stalwart campaign. They took my unit in a night ambush, killed our lookouts, and overwhelmed the rest of us before we could stage an organized counterattack. When they took me prisoner, I was the picture of disobedience the entire time, and paid back much of the northern blood they had spilled. They locked me up behind a wall in Sentinel Stand in isolation. I gave them no lack of trouble, so they left me to my cell. Stratus the Younger, the Regent's son, has visited almost every day to check on me and make sure my every need was seen to. In the Legion, they teach you what to expect in the South. Barbarians, savages, rapists. I hadn't expected to find civility. I continued to debate and banter with Stratus the Younger. He hated the North and I the South, but beyond the prejudices we discovered more in common than we suspected. Much more. I later learned that he suffered wounds at the Disfavored hands and died in the field. She takes a deep breath and shakes her head. My Stratus. That was when I knew the Archon of War had come for me at last. Shortly after, I heard an ironclad force assemble outside the fortress. Had I a voice in the Legion, I would have told them to pull back. I was being treated with dignity, and we suspected that Kairos' edict would come in short order, not that any of my father's simpletons would have listened. The Regent comforted me in my isolation. We had both lost men we loved, and in no time at all, I realized that I was carrying his grandchild. You know the rest. Well, farewell. And good luck. I'm really happy that I managed to not kill a child. The crypt has been meticulously cleaned. While other objects in the hall have traces of dust or metallic powder on them, none are found here.
I'll give it a try.
Okay, I'm not going to steal your jewels. You can have them. I was just checking, what do you have there? Okay, so now return to Ascension Hall. Okay. Let's do that indeed. It's good to see those old stones again. We are already bringing the place back to its former glory. Matthias should be on his way to Ascension Hall. I'll hang back and oversee the restoration of Sentinel Stand.
Right.
Okay, I liked this questline, but I think the resolution was a little bit too obvious. Like, I suspected it might work like this from the very first time I actually read, how the edict is written. You make out a few figures on the wall ahead of you. The glint of iron and bronze marks mark them as well armed and armored. The two feature the broad shoulders of the beastmen haulers and a heavily laden cart. As they near, you realize that the standard flown from their carts boasts the heraldry of Tunon the Adjudicator. They hail you as you approach. You recognize the woman who leads the procession as a minor functionary in Tunon's service by the name of Alma. Her clothes bear the red, black, and gold of the court, and she keeps her light brown hair in a carefully beaded bun atop her head. Fatebinder Stanis Javert, she greets you with a bow. I travel in the Archon's service. The cart behind me is laden with supplies, all at reasonable price. Is there anything I can provide for you? Well, what do you have? Of course, let me show you what I have. Nothing particularly interesting, to be honest. But I will buy the potions. I will do the actual trading somewhere back at the Spire. With Sentinel Stand in our keeping, Stalwart is a step closer to being restored to the Unbroken Hands. Matthias beams with pride as he regards those assembled. In spite of our differences, our petty disagreements, and whatever challenges are still to come, I am proud to be among you. Hear, hear. A hearty sudden welcome swells my heart in these dark times. We should all remember to keep our humor so emboldened. As you can tell, our little coalition is not so little anymore. We need some time to regroup as allies and discuss the futures. I'll keep you abreast of any updates. She regards you with an uncertain frown. It bears recalling that all of this started in earnest when you claimed the mountain spire. If you haven't already, I would look into the other spires scattered across the tiers. You might learn something more about this influence you seem to cultivate. People will look to you as a beacon of hope, and you had best be prepared for everything that could mean. Yeah, I did claim all of the spires, so... The Scarlet Chorus are attacking the Citadel. There are gangs of Crimson as far as I can see. There must be thousands of them. I was wondering who would be the first to strike directly. If our scouts speak true, we are up against a foe that will strike us with staggering numbers. What are your orders? I don't think we can just hack our way out of this, but falling back is not an option. Has the Archon been spotted among the Horde? No word yet, but I wouldn't expect that coward to lead from the front. But if he is absent, that would mean he's not here to inflict order and discipline, and maybe we can kill the toughest gangs and hope that the weaker ones lose the will to fight. These conscripts are no threat individually, but we just don't have the waking hours to kill the number the chorus can field. Are the chorus forces alone, or are the disfavored here to ruin things? Reports indicate that the disfavored sent troops out of the Iron Hearth headed west, but they aren't headed here. We have no word of them crossing into the valley. This time we'll be facing an enemy that isn't distracted by his own breakdown of civility. We have no choice but to fight. It'll be an honor to perish with you if it comes to that, but first I want to see things from the higher ground. Kairos' forces have the citadel surrounded. Our scouts tell us more are on their way. Ari points over across the horizon, towards the specks of movement in the panorama of the valley below. She points towards the mountains. As you can see the lines of reinforcements snaking back north to the Stone Sea. I am all for a good challenge, but this just seems impossible. Even if we call in all of our alliances, our odds are beyond hopeless. The massive sculpture rumbles, shaking the masonry of the spire and sending her off balance. The orb in the center of the resonator spins with the push of some unseen force. Where the structure once exuded warmth, now it gives off a ferocious heat that singes your face the longer you stare into it. A sound like music swarms in the air around the structure, but it's painful and disharmonious to your ears. Well... What? Well, this is shit! Siren has to shout over the disharmonious music. You'd think a spire would know some better songs, but I guess that there's no accounting for taste. She focuses on you with a mixed expression. You do realize that the energies of this place are now centered on you. I don't know what makes you so special. The spire is now fully awake. From its long dormant currents of energy dance to your presence. Thrown off balance by the trembling spire, Ari crouches to regain her footing. That wasn't an attack, that was the spire, right? Because if it was an attack... the spire often communicates with visions. Perhaps it is its way of saying it has something to discuss. Fatebinder now is as good as time as any to see if that link with the spire could yield us some measure of defense. At the very least, perhaps you could make sure no one is able to teleport up here. If you can control that, we can at least ensure ourselves a fallback position. Okay, I could try casting an Edict, but that seems a little unwise because you know, I would inflict my own lands with it. Maybe I can just threaten. Like, if my voice booms over the entire valley, that should be a pretty effective form of intimidation. The spire resonates with my voice. I'll shout into the valley that they have an edict from Kairos. That should send them running. I'm sure the soldiers below don't really know if you carry the words of Kairos or not. Might be worth seeing how many of them fall for that bluff. I assume I have to use this. The mystic hum of the spire pulses to the cadence of your heart. The ancient structure awaits your command. Can I talk to it? There's still so much that doesn't make sense. The spire has been linked to you since you led the defense of Ascension Hall. Perhaps now that we are under attack again, the spire's true purpose is shown. The air ripples with the heat and the spire's hum. A low chanting of your name echoes through your head. I'm not sure who's actually in control here. Is the spire enhancing my powers, or am I fueling the power of the spire? Your mind drifts to the bygone days and past events, along with a rush of memories. You know as your own comes a surge of images, voices, and pangs of joy and sadness, either long forgotten or remembered by someone else. The cawing weight of granite over your head, the pressing slabs of gneiss against your chest, these memories of Cairn now live in your mind, as does the recipe of his undoing. Pinpricks of electricity spark beyond your eyeballs, and the slightest breath in fills your lungs with a rush of moist air. You have to brush the rust and bronze dust from your skin, only to realize that the sensation is a phantom itch of the blade grave. They say only the Overlord can create an edict, and it has never been clear if the Overlord can also destroy an edict. And when an edict is resolved, what becomes of the colossal quantities of mystic energy bound into such edict? You know, it just occurred to me that if you're knocked off, who's going to be able to talk to the spire after you die? Can you, tell it to listen to me after you die? Does it work like that? The edicts you've encountered crowd into your immediate memory. Whatever splinter or fragments of the edicts you helped to resolve have taken root, flowering into your mind as an intuitive understanding. I can't be the first person to mess with this device. You feel a presence standing adjacent to you in space, but centuries from you in time. For a moment she seems aware of you, or perhaps you're remembering her speaking to someone standing in the very same spot. She speaks to the spire, and the spire listens, echoing her words, and while she speaks with conviction, her words are not edicts. She lacks the understanding and the conviction. Images of half-dozen figures swarm your mind. All of them walked atop this ancient perch and have discovered but a sliver of the spire's potential. Did the spire have any insight? Well, the spire is showing me a woman that was here long ago, along with a few other fleeting visitors, but I doubt any were the spire's master. If someone had been up here, you'd think we would have some history of it, but perhaps those who were up here went to great lengths to hide it. Not like anyone has activated this place the way you have. That would not have escaped notice. My link to the spire is confounding. Why me? I lay claim to Ascension Hall. You hear your own voice echo in your mind. Let us be free of this edict. Your mind flashes back to the assault on Kairos' Hall, the moment you fulfilled the wording of Kairos' edict. Sensation of searing heat and chilling cold course through your body as you relive the weightless moment when the edict broke, the fateful instance when the levy vanished and the arcane currents of Kairos' magic were set free. It was in that moment that the spire's old sigil awakening, long covered by its prior occupants, was set ablaze by the arcane tempest. The spire knows the first moment it found you, and so now you know this too, but whether the meeting was by accident or by design is unknown to the both of you. Did the spire offer you any insight? There was a flash of the assault on Ascension Hall and the resolution of Edict of Execution. The arcane backlash of the broken edict seems the probable cause. I don't suppose the spire gave you a vision as to how we might fend off the endless waves of Kairos' minions. The spires in the tiers are linked. Just how far does this connection go? As soon as your mind finishes the intent of your question, you lose sense of your feet, and your vision expands to the spires on the horizon. Meditate and silence your thoughts. As you would command your arms to extend, you think outward, your mind feeling cognizant of the verticality of the spire. You follow the sensation down to the soil, and your sensation stretches underground, radiating through the Vengeance Well Valley and branching out into the old walls that ring the mountains, and from there out to the surrounding old walls and spires of the Tears. You issue a soft hum into the resonator and then fall silent, stretching your senses across the Tears to hear how far your voice can be felt. While your voice echoes throughout most of the Tears, no echo can be heard in contested lands. The raging cackle of Kairos' Edict of Storms, or rather Kairos' Edict of Fire, seems to drown out your call. The power of the Edict swells inside you, yet your voice is but a whimper everywhere Kairos' Edict still holds sway, but where Kairos' Edicts no longer churn, your voice echoes with power. Should you will it, the spires will resonate your voice across these lands, enacting a new edict of your own making. What did the visions show you this time? From this spire, I could reach anywhere in the Tears. Where Kairos has an edict, there is a mystic interference. Of course, the spire just had to fall in love with a foreigner. What do you have that I don't? I can't imagine the spire has a thing for accents. Touch the resonator. Well, what could possibly go wrong? As you touch the stone structure, you sense your sense of the moment slows, and you feel the entirety of the Tears at your fingertips. The spire stands ready to channel your will. Oh, okay, so I have to cast an edict. Like, this seems like a bad idea to me, but I have to do it, so... There are 5 edicts? Like, the third is the Edict of Fire, which I just weren't there, but I missed 2 of them? Interesting. And concerning. Okay, enemy effects... minus control fire, control lightning, minus 15 to all magic skills. Those are both kind of crap for me, but I think I'll go for this because minus 15 to all magic skills? No, that seems bad for me. So I guess we're going through the Edict of Storms once again. The Edict of Storms will generate a massive storm that covers a huge area of the world. The chaotic energy unleashed will cause random damage to strike your enemies during combat. Okay, let's do it. That actually worked? Ari leaps in the air, pumping her arm in excitement, only for her to turn pale a moment later. That actually worked! Her eyes, laden with fear, dart towards you. How is that even possible? Having broken the edict, I seem to be able to recreate it, even if in a limited fashion. So you've absorbed a fragment of the Overlord's magic, perhaps? There's a reason I don't deal with this arcane nonsense. I'm as baffled as you are, but what you are saying is as probable a guess as any. Our binder has proclaimed edicts, has broken them too, and regards with a cautious glare. Just when I think I had you figured out. We can ponder this later. For the moment, we need to strike while the surprise is still fresh. Captain Ari tightens the fasteners on her gauntlets as she marches towards the portal, I'll be sure to leave a couple alive. Someone needs to tell others what happens when they attack Stannis Javert. But what is actually the wording? Defeat the invaders. What is the wording of my edict? Like, how can I revoke it later? Well, it doesn't say. It doesn't say what I said, because obviously it can't be dependent. It can be a one-to-one recreation of Kairos' edict, because the line of the Regents is no more, unless it is a recreation, and that means it's going to go on forever because it can't be broken, which would kind of suck, to be honest. But I am going to attack the chorus next time.
Will do.
Because this episode has been long enough, so I'm going to save and end it for now. That's all for this one, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.